Let me show you how to make a knitted I-cord using no knitting needles, just your bare hands. We'll use a combination of the bare hands crochet and finger knitting techniques. I made this super-sized I-cord from the Martha's Yarn's hand-dyed slubber yarn. It will make a great scarf, and the cord can also be used to arm knit with. See my separate video tutorial on Martha's arm knitting. We start by making a slip knot about 15 centimeters from the end of the yarn. Twist the yarn clockwise to form a loop and pull a new loop from underneath. Slip the new loop onto 2 right-hand fingers and using your thumb, draw through a loop of yarn as you would when making a crochet chain. Then pull through another 3 loops, as shown here. Once completed, you will have 1 loop left on your right index finger. Next, find the first group of twisted threads next to your right finger and pull a loop of the working yarn from back to front through one of the twisted threads of the chain and place it on your right index finger. Move to the next group of twisted threads and pull through another loop. Finally, pull a third loop through the group of twisted threads at the beginning of the chain. You will now have 4 loops of yarn on your right index finger. Now we will transfer the loops to your left index finger by sliding them off your right finger. Next, bring the yarn that is attached to the far left loop around the back of your finger and wind it underneath and around the end of your left index finger so that it sits at the back. Then pull the second loop over and off the first loop on your finger and transfer the new loop onto your right index finger. Next, rest the working end of the yarn over your left middle finger. Insert your right index finger through the front of the next stitch and pull through a loop from the yarn resting on your middle finger. Release the stitch on the left finger as you pull through the loop. Repeat this step for the next 2 stitches, inserting the right index finger through the front of the stitch and pulling through a new loop of yarn. Make sure you rest the yarn on your middle index finger before you knit the next stitch. Once you've knitted the 4 stitches, transfer the stitches back onto your left index finger as before. Let's try another row. Take the end of the yarn and wind it under and around the end of your left index finger. Pull the second stitch over and off and transfer to the right finger. Then, resting the yarn on your middle finger, pull through loops from the front of each of the 3 remaining stitches on your left finger until you have knitted all 4 stitches. There is your next row completed. After every other row, give the I-cord a good pull to even out the stitches. If you need to interrupt your knitting before you have finished, take a length of the yarn and feed it back through the 4 stitches. Draw through a loop and tie this loop together with the end of the working yarn as shown here. Once you are ready to start knitting again, loosen the knot and feed it back through the loops and place the loops back onto your left index finger to start again. Let's cast off now. Begin as a normal knit row by winding the yarn around the end of your left index finger. But next, take 2 stitches over and off the first loop on your finger. Then wind the yarn under and around again and take another 2 stitches off. Continue until you have 1 loop left on your index finger. Draw out a long loop and cut the end of the yarn. Pull the cut end of the yarn through the loop and draw to tighten the knot. This completed I-cord makes a lovely lariat style scarf. It can also be turned into a chunky cowl by making 1 large slip knot and using your whole hand to make large chain stitches, as I'm demonstrating here. You could also arm knit with the cord or felt it to make a chunky multicolored rope. There are endless crafting ideas using this technique, so feel free to experiment however you wish. Thank you for watching this video. If you wish to learn how to make an I-cord with knitting needles, please see my separate video on the knitted I-cord. And for more knitting tutorials, visit the Knit with Pat YouTube channel. For original knitting and crochet patterns and the Martyrs Yarns knitting yarn collection, please visit patriciacantosdesign.com.